Welcome, everyone, to episode 3 of MC, True Long Island Story. I am your host, the internet champion, always ready, Matt Cardona.
I'm also here, producer of the show, Smart, Mark Sterling, and I have a big follow-up right away I have to tell people about.
Okay.
On the video last week, got a lot of comments about
the cereal bowl?
my dirty bowl in the back.
Easter egg.
I just want to tell people it was not cereal. I don't eat cereal. It was, in fact, rice and chicken that I had right before we went live. So,
as I was doing that intro and I said episode 3, I thought to myself, did I say episode 2 last week? I don't know if I did. That was a trademark of the show, is that I always say the number.
Right. Huh. I don't remember.
Well, guys, let us know. Did I?
Yeah. Well, I could also easily check, but yeah. Okay, you want to dive right into it? Welcome to Good Housekeeping.
Yeah, guys. The response for this whole journey has been awesome. So thank you so much. People are loving it. I'm reading all the comments. I'm reading all the tweets, all the posts. Thank you so much, guys. That's the most important part, is spreading this, because that's how the original show got so successful, and that's how this show hopefully will become so successful. So we really appreciate that. To subscribe, also to leave a review. If you leave a review on iTunes or whatever you can leave a review on, and you tweet it to us using the hashtag Broski of the Week, we'll make you the Broski of the Week. So, Mark, you were the first Broski of the Week. I got to send you that sticker.
Right.
I still haven't done it, but everyone who is the Broski of the Week will get an exclusive sticker and an 8x10. So this week, the Broski of the Week, let me pull it up. I found it earlier.
Well, let's play that jingle right now.
The Broski of the Week.
All right.
Oh, here's another thing, Mark.
Yeah.
Last week, you played the incorrect jingle.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, because
it's not the Broski of the Week.
It is, but then you kept the lyrics going. It should be no lyrics after that.
Okay, so that was like an artistic. So I knew that.
Oh.
That was like an artistic choice on my part to just let it play a little bit more. I was like, I don't know if Broski just cut it off on purpose.
I cut it off on purpose.
Or if he just didn't know how to continue a
No, it was actually made, I think it was made specifically for that clip.
Oh, so I stole it from the song. So
you need to steal it from the YouTube.
Okay, all right.
Well, by now you already did that because we're,
right, exactly.
This isn't live.
Right.
So the Broski of the Week is I Am the Bosch Man. And if you're a major wrestling figure podcast fan, you know him as Purple Best Wishes Shirt Guy.
Oh, he deserves it.
Yeah, well, I tried almost every week a decade ago to be Broski of the Week. I believe it. The True Long Island Story was my weekly escape for a few minutes from the stresses of college, fatherhood, and life in general. My 3 passions were production, partying, and watching wrestling. Mine too. So for the first time, I saw a reflection of myself in the WWE and wanted to support in every way I could. I shaved and dressed as Zach for Halloween. I spiked my hair, take another shot, cheered for him at MSG despite it being The Rock's first match back, and held out hope anytime there was the slightest push throughout his time in the company. Even my daughter and girlfriend, who aren't wrestling fans, looked forward to watching the show with me every week. One of my bucket list items was to have a Long Island Ice Z with the man himself, and it finally came true in the summer of 2019 when he couldn't stop complimenting my Purple Best Wishes shirt and made it my gimmick for the rest of time. I'm excited to take this trip down memory lane, Broski. Woo, woo, woo. You know it. Well, Purple Best Wishes Shirt Guy, you are officially the Broski of the Week. Congratulations, man.
Congrats. That's something interesting that he brought up. My wife has never been somebody to watch wrestling. Really. I mean, she does occasionally just to be supportive or whatever. But back in the day, she used to watch the show with me. She really enjoyed it and didn't know.
The show as in WWE or the show as in this show? Or
no, Z True Long Island Story.
That's wild to me.
And she said,
Mark, how many times did you try to be Broski of the Week? Come on.
I don't know, probably 10, 15.
You have to have footage somewhere.
Yeah, maybe, but it was old phones and stuff, whatever I filmed.
But you had to have uploaded it.
Onto Twitter, though, right?
We got to be able to find it.
Well, we'll talk about Twitter in a second. I have to find a me with no gray hair video trying to be Broski of the Week. But she listened to the first episode and said, wow, I am feeling nostalgic about that time where we used to watch the show together. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I thought that was cool.
That's awesome.
Big thing from last week, you mentioned the logo. We talked about the logo.
Yes, Steve Zitkos. I wasn't sure if he created it.
Yeah.
But Mark, you found the tweets. First of all, there's so much like you can do on the internet. You're able to go back and find my tweets, and I mean, you explain it.
Yeah. So basically, I was sitting there and I was thinking, well, I got to find out more about this Steve Zitkos. If he didn't make the logo first, who did? And then I was like, you know what? I want to find that tweet that Matt literally just says, "Hey, I need help with a logo. Can somebody help?" So then I like researched. It's very easy. You like copy this string thing. It's like show at Matt your name,
Right.
like with a date range since 2011 to
This is too
whatever
confusing
date you
for me.
want,
That's why you're the producer.
and it gives you all the tweets that person said in this date range.
Okay.
So I was able to find it. It was Steve Zitkos who did make the first thing. So there was some. I'll try to put these on the screen if you're watching. But you tweeted, "Need someone's help who's really good at using Photoshop, good at creating original images. We'll send autograph 8x10 for help."
That was always my thing, even back
Right.
then.
Here's the next tweet. Not the next, but a little while after. "I appreciate a lot of you helping, but I need someone that is actually skilled in Photoshop, not horrible in paint." Not horrible in paint. Steve Zitkos then sends you the image or the early version. And
Right.
in all caps, you write, "Can you make that on a transparent background and make the font orange with black outline and make the bottom smaller?" And then he said again to him, "Bro, perfect. Can you just fix the bottom left of the Z? Orange goes past the black. Thanks. DM me your address for autograph." And that was, as they say, or the rest is history.
Yeah, so he helps me out big time with, I would say, 99% of all the graphics you see on the show is from him. So we would email, a big help. And obviously, like, the logo changes slightly. I think maybe the next episode it turns into the one that sticks.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I didn't know, I was teaching myself how to edit. So I taught myself how to put in the graphics. You'll see in this episode, I taught myself how to put text on the screen, but it's not like a lower third graphic. It's just literally text. So I was like researching and trying to teach myself. But to me, the most important stuff was the content, and like I was okay with the production value being shitty. Not that I was trying to make it shitty. It was the best I could do.
Right.
But I thought like the charm of the show was like, this kid's doing it himself.
100%, and I'll bring that up later when we're talking about the episode. So this tweet thing was really fun. I started just sending you tweets of things that you were saying in 2011.
Yeah.
So from now on, I think I'm going to check out your tweets for that week. And
You should.
And
I
say
think that's great.
some funny ones. So
That's
listen
awesome.
to this. Matt Cardona, this is the week before episode 3. Finally giving Yoshitatsu a receipt. And then there is a picture that goes with it, but here's the bad news, guys. 2011, Twitter used a thing called yfrog.com to upload their images. They didn't even have their own server, Twitter. So
Okay.
yfrog basically only sometimes can show you the image. Sometimes it doesn't. So whatever the Yoshitatsu thing was, you can no longer see it.
Damn.
I wish I knew.
Probably a stiff broski boot.
Matt Cardona, happy B-Day to Justin Bieber. Woo, woo, woo.
Bieber fever, baby.
That was on March 1st, which was also my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Mark.
Matt Cardona, if you have Facebook, type in Long Island Ice Z in the search. Like it. Don't have a surname or username yet. So that's like, so I thought that was neat because that's when you first launched your Facebook.
So here's a little thing. So in this episode, I start to like me on Facebook.
Yes.
And I even put that web address, like facebook.com/Long Island IZ. I actually still have access to that Facebook. I'm trying to switch it over.
Right.
So if anyone from Facebook is listening and knows how to like switch it to like Matt Cardona, let me know.
Right.
But what would happen eventually is that people don't listen to directions, right? So they just type in Zack Ryder into Facebook and they start like the official WWE Zack Ryder Facebook, which
Oh, right.
is even when I'm plugging the other one, they're still liking the other, which is fine. But what happens is that I don't have control of that. Eventually, I literally begged to get control of it. And it wasn't control, is that I had access to it, but I didn't have control over it.
Right.
I was able to get in there and post things. And then once I got released, it was gone. So my thought process was I wanted to create things on my own because, what if?
Right.
And it took a decade to get released. But I was thinking, what if I get this buzz and I get released? I want the fans. That's why the YouTube channel was mine. Facebook, the Twitter, because you can't take away someone's Twitter. Yeah, you can switch the name, but you can't take it away. But so now that Facebook, which had millions of fans, it's gone.
Does WWE have access to your Twitter account? Could they post something on your account?
I never gave it to them. They tried many times, and I think they might have it with some people, but I'd never let them.
Wow. So they just ask the person, they say, sure, I'll give you my password?
It's something like that, and they stress oh no, we can't check your private stuff or your DMs or blah blah blah.
Huh.
But I never ever let anybody into my account.
And that didn't get you in trouble at all?
I think by the time that was going on, I had some ground to stand on, or at least didn't care.
Got it.
It wasn't at this time. It was later on. Because at first, and we'll talk about this later in the show, first, social media is not really a thing. Later, there's literally the social media zone. Back in the day, we've talked about before, one time I got in trouble by The Undertaker for being on my cell phone. For those who don't know the story, it was overseas. We were in Mexico. I believe the main event is Vladimir Kozlov versus Triple H. This is the last night of the tour. So how many times have I seen this match? You know what I'm saying? How many times have I seen this match? So all the boys, all the wrestlers, fellow wrestlers are sitting watching the monitor. And Hawkins and I are on our phone. Hawkins claims he was just checking the time at this exact instant. But The Undertaker gives the Undertaker head snap. Basically, disrespectful for being on your phone, blah, blah, blah. And is pretty pissed. And I'm okay, this is The Undertaker, locker room leader, pissed.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So afterwards, Mark Henry, he pulls us aside and, he's like, what up, dude? No, he doesn't. he says, go up to Taker and say, what up, dude?
Yeah.
No, he didn't say that. But he says that, you need to apologize to Undertaker. And I'm like, okay, you're absolutely right. So Hawkins and I, we pull him aside, we apologize, and he's super cool about it. Super cool,
Yeah.
Because we were very respectful. Super cool, but he's you really need to apologize to the guys in the main event. Okay. So we're okay, so we'll apologize to Vladimir Kozlov, which I don't even know if we did. Maybe we did, but he doesn't know what's going on, right? We love Oleg. Oleg's the best. One of our friends from Deep South.
I'm cringing right now.
Bro, I'm cringing right now thinking about it. Oh. But now we have to stooge ourselves off to Triple H. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it's the worst.
Right? So Triple H, I'll never forget this. He's in a private dressing room, and we're excuse me, Triple H? And he's we were on our cell phones during your match, and we're really, really sorry. That was very disrespectful. Whatever we said, And he played it off like he didn't care,
Right.
But I was oh, man. And this was at a time when that cell phone incident happened. This was the Edgeheads were not with Edge anymore. This was the beginning of the end. So I'm sure that didn't do us any favors.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
But flash forward, there's literally something called the social media zone where you're encouraged to be on your phone. There's literally phone chargers, for people to charge their phones and stuff to tweet. And it has all the hashtags to use and stuff like that. So they don't have that anymore, but obviously it's more accepted. It's come on, it's 2021 now. Be on your phone, tweet about it, promote.
Do they send mandatory tweets? Tweet this. And it's
100%.
It's
100%.
Yes. Brock Lesnar's DVD's coming out or something.
Yes.
Okay, and then do you get in trouble
that's
if you
smart.
don't do
I get that. What's that?
Do you get in trouble if you don't do it?
I don't know about trouble, but you're definitely encouraged to tweet certain things.
Got it. All right,
which is smart.
A couple more tweets. Matt Cardona, in caps. Katy Perry, love me, and then there's a picture. I wish I knew what that picture was. I can't.
Oh, you know what it is? I do know what it is because this just take a shot. This came up in my Facebook memories. She wore something similar to me with the one leg and the lace shirt.
Oh,
must have been that picture.
Got it. And then last here, Matt Cardona Toy Story 3 was robbed. It must be an Oscar thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And you talk about it in the episode, too.
Yeah, it's very topical.
All right. Before we talk about the matches that you had this week, let's hear a little word from our sponsors. And we're back.
I had a couple more housekeeping things.
Okay.
Follow-ups.
Sure.
So I believe on episode 1 of this show, I mentioned that I first knew I was in trouble leaving ECW going to Raw when I lost to MVP
Yep.
in a Money in the Bank qualifier. And this came up on one of my tweets, or somebody tweeted to me that 11 years ago, MVP beat Zack Ryder in a Money in the Bank qualifier. So that means it had been a full year being on Raw, doing like absolutely nothing. So, you know, that was, I guess, you know, my motivation. Okay, like nothing's happening. It's been, like we said, like it's been a whole year of doing nothing. Something's got to change. Like they're not just going to come up with something for myself. They're not going to come up with something for me. I got to do it for myself, you know?
Right. Got it.
And also another thing, you know, last week we talked about like the main event and superstars matches and how I always loved those matches, and how I always took them very, very seriously. And the reason, I don't know if any people, take a shot. I don't know if many people know this. For those of you who don't listen to the Major Wrestling Review podcast, every time I stutter, I say take a shot, and we have a lot of merch about it, so pick that up. But the reason I ended up getting into that Intercontinental title ladder match at WrestleMania 32 was because Vince McMahon was eating his steak or whatever in his dressing room and his office before Raw or SmackDown went on the air. And I don't know if it was main event. I don't know if it was Superstars. I forget. I don't even know who I was wrestling. Could have been like Tyler Breeze or Cody or something at that time. And apparently the story goes
I thought it was Cody.
I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember exactly. But the story goes that the next day at the meeting or the next week of the meeting, maybe it was the next day. Maybe like this happened on Monday and this was on a Tuesday. He said something like, why aren't we doing something with Zack Ryder? You know, it's all because he just happened to be watching that match that I was busting my ass in, being always ready, looking like $1 million, in great shape, great gear.
Probably working a great hold.
Or just like treating these matches like they were the main event.
Right.
You know, not main event the show, but the main event of Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
So like I always encourage people to, not put on that boo-boo face and to go out there and bust your ass, because there's only so many things you can control in this business. You know, like your physique, your gear, and your attitude. And if you treat every match like it's special, you never know, and you never know who's watching. And you hear that expression all the time, like you never know who's watching. But literally, I didn't go out to think, oh, well, maybe Vince is watching today. I just treated every match like it was going to be a kick-ass match, no matter what. If they put me in a situation where it was a 1-minute squash match on Raw, I tried to make it the best 1-minute squash match possible.
Right.
You know? Or if I had 2 segments on a main event or Superstars, kill it, because you never know. And like my mentality was, for me, I wanted it to be good. And it just so happened that Vince saw that match that day, which spawned, the whole snowball effect of me getting into that WrestleMania match, which ended up, me winning. You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't get me to win the title. Maybe it did. I don't know, but it definitely got me on the radar to get into that match.
That whole
and all because of the Superstars or main event.
And it's like an epilogue of, it's almost like a book epilogue of the Z True Long Island story. Like years later, there's like kind of like a nice little conclusion to the whole thing with you and your dad in the ring. And
what a night! Like that night made all the BS worth it. You know what I'm saying? And like, and you could tell like that was at the time, and I think still now, the most people ever at a WrestleMania, like over 100,000, and that the place was rocking for me. Because like they felt it, whether they were currently a fan or were a fan, they're like, God damn, this guy deserves it.
Yeah.
And that was a great night.
There was like nothing, you didn't do much that year and all that stuff. So you came out of nowhere to do this.
Right.
It's great.
It was and losing it the next day, people, oh, you lost it the next day. I loved it.
Yeah.
It made the story. He finally gets it. Oh no, he doesn't. That's the story of my career, right?
Right.
I thought it was perfect.
All right. Speaking of matches and Superstars matches, so this show that we're talking about comes out March 3rd. So the episode 3 is March 3rd, 2011. And on February 28th, 2011, and we kind of mentioned it last week, Santino Marella and Vladimir Kozlov defeat Primo and Zack Ryder. WWE Superstars 99. It's at the Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, Ohio. It was filmed on the 28th, but it aired the March 3rd, Thursday, which was the Superstar air date.
Okay.
But here's my question. You said yesterday, I'm very confused by this. You said yesterday you were on Raw.
Yes.
Okay.
Yesterday? What do you mean yesterday?
I'm sorry, last week. Last show. This Superstars episode was recorded at the Quicken Loans Arena, which was that week's SmackDown.
Huh.
Raw was in Buffalo.
Now I'm confused too.
Raw was in Buffalo. SmackDown was in Cleveland.
Well,
This Superstars match was recorded in Cleveland. Would they have said something like you need to go to SmackDown and record this match?
maybe that was a time where there wasn't a real draft and everyone went to both. That's all I can think of.
I mean, people, like we mentioned last week, people were on Raw and SmackDown. It just didn't seem like it was a thing.
Yeah, maybe that, because how many times do we have the draft or the shakeup? And they're strict about it for a couple months, and then everyone starts, and then they get strict about it again, and then everyone starts coming together. So it was probably one of those times.
Got it. All right. And then also on that same episode, Chris Masters defeats Kurt Hawkins. So you guys were both on the same.
Oh wow,
Superstars. What about Cleveland? Do you have any memories of if you recorded in Cleveland on Tuesday? Would you have hung out with Ziggler that night or something?
Probably.
Like that?
I don't have memories of that particular day, but we'll get into it in about 8 months.
Okay.
Cleveland is where the Hugh Jackman thing happens.
Oh, cool. All right.
So that I remember.
Right. Okay, and then now this is the second time since your debut of Primo and Zack Ryder that you have lost. So you were like, we're going to be the New Age Outlaws.
No, that was my pitch. That was my idea. That obviously wasn't their idea.
Right. So you've lost
and it's
times.
so weird because at that time, and I'm sure we'll talk about it with upcoming results, sometimes we're wrestling each other. Sometimes it's whether it's like a live event or house show, we're wrestling each other, or sometimes it's like a 10-man tag and we're on opposite teams. And so it was so weird.
So they weren't really behind this tag team.
Right. No. And I was for sure. There's actually a card, like a top slam attack or something of Zack Ryder and Primo. I was behind 100% because Primo is great. One of the most underrated in the ring character. He's just so damn good. So I knew that we would mesh, and we meshed, backstage. So I knew we would mesh in the ring, and it just didn't work out.
So you guys were buddies? Did you hang out or travel or anything like that?
We traveled together and stuff like that. Yeah. Cause when Primo first came in, he was teaming with Carlito, and we had a couple matches, live event matches with Hawkins and Ryder against Primo and Carlito. So once you have a couple good matches with someone, I think you can build a relationship based on that, if you're not necessarily friends before. And that's what we did.
All right. We'll talk. I want to sort of go in depth about Primo, when he debuts on the show. So we'll talk more about him then. What's up in WWE and TNA at the time? So Raw is recorded February 28th in Buffalo to a 3.8 rating. Talk about today's TV, 3.8 rating in 2011. That is wild. We've got Evan Bourne defeating Sheamus on this show. We've got John Cena defeating Alex Riley in a steel cage match.
Wow, A-Rai.
13 minutes. Brie Bella defeating Alicia Fox, Gail Kim, Maurice, Melina, Natalia, Nikki Bella, and Tamina in a Divas Battle Royal. And then over on SmackDown, February 25th, so that was the Friday before this, the Arco Arena, Sacramento, we talked about that. And that was aired to a 1.7, so quite the drop there for SmackDown. And on SmackDown in the main event, Edge and Kelly are defeating Drew McIntyre and Vicky Guerrero. You got Big Show defeating Wade Barrett, Jack Swagger versus Kofi Kingston, things like that.
Okay.
And then on TNA, check this out. Matt Morgan defeated Hernandez in 5 minutes.
Oh, wow. Two of my buds.
Our good friend and homie, Hernandez. And then
Matt
the main
Morgan.
event, Sting defeats Jeff Hardy to win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship in 6 minutes and 15 seconds.
Oh, wow.
So that's what's going on in pro wrestling. And while we mention that, is there anything, are you thinking at this time, you've got Edge is obviously wrestling in the main events here, John Cena, Alex Riley, the Miz stuff. Are you hoping to figure in any of that stuff? You know, we'll talk about John Cena in a second, but
Not necessarily. I think, I just wanted this show to take off in the sense that I wanted to get on TV, not that I wanted to be a YouTube personality.
right.
I wanted this to create enough buzz and create enough, enough something where somebody like, what is this show? Who is this guy? What are we doing with him? Eventually it does happen.
Well,
But
let's
I
talk-
wasn't trying to like pencil myself into, being with Edge again or anything like that. Like, I think maybe a little earlier, so maybe 2010, I start doing a couple things with Edge backstage, but it doesn't really lead to anything.
Right. All right. Well, speaking of John Cena, main event, right?
Yeah.
He tweets March 12th, 2011. So this is, actually probably, 2 weeks, a week and a half after this episode comes out. Just watched episode 3 of Z True Long Island Story. Luke, I am your broski. Brilliant. We'll talk about that in a second. But this is this the first time that John Cena tweets, and are you like, what the heck?
If it's not the first time, it's one of the first times, and this was huge. This was
Right.
huge to have John Cena, the
So it's around
face of the
episode
company.
5. He tweets about episode 3, but this is when people are starting to catch on, like a couple episodes in, really.
Right. So this was huge for me. In the early days of Twitter, to get a retweet meant something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Especially from John Cena.
Right.
And if Cena is putting his stamp of approval on you, I think you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Anybody coming up to you at all at this point, coming into episode 3, like, oh, I watched it, or
Maybe some wrestlers, my friends, people I was riding with.
yeah,
No office people.
no notable people yet. Okay.
Not that I can recall.
And then 2 weeks later, Cena tweets it. So it's funny that he's tweeting a week and a half later about the episode 3, but whatever.
So watching episode 3, episode 1 and 2 were kind of cringy. I was very proud of episode 3.
Definitely. So let's get right into episode 3. Bust out those notes on your 8x10 or wherever you wrote it.
They're on my phone. Oh, so right away, we still have that original Steve Zicko's logo.
Yep.
Back to standing on that step stool in front of my figures.
No
wearing
music.
the shirt. Wearing
Yep.
the shirt. No music yet. But I got this. I think becomes a little trademark of the show. I'm wearing this like American Apparel hooded sweatshirt, and I think every week I start changing colors of it. Not a big deal, or I didn't have an American Apparel sponsorship or anything. That would have been nice.
Right.
But this is the first episode where I feel like, okay, I know where I think this is the first episode where you can see where the show is going to go.
Yep.
You're taking wrestling things that are topical, pop culture things that are topical, spinning them in to my life, my narrative, so to speak. I did that the other 2 episodes, but I think this one is a clear cut. It fits, it gels better. What do you think as a fan watching?
100%. And there's literally like 2 skits, right?
Right.
So the first thing that you
3,
do,
really, if you think about it.
yeah. First thing you do is you cut away to Darth Ryder. You say,
I say something like, episode 3 of Star Wars, was the birth of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So episode 3 of Z True Long Island Story should be the birth of Darth Ryder. And I do the, Luke, you are my broski.
So,
And I have the red lightsaber. It's
Right.
great.
this is the first Star Wars reference. What lightsaber was that? Was that like an expensive one?
That's one of those Force FX lightsabers. Yeah, I literally just sold that this past year because it was so old that the handle, like the rubber on the handle, was starting to get like really, really sticky. So I
weird.
bought like a new lightsaber and sold that one. I wish I would have kept it, but I could have signed it and sold it and made like a couple $100.
Right. Yeah. The one.
From episode 3.
Yeah.
So I don't recall like, why I had that. Maybe because I think this is when those lightsabers were first coming out. I was like, what? You need something like this, because for so many years it was like the shitty Hasbro plastic ones that lit up a bit, but it was plastic, and like even when it's in like the what's it called, like the hilt or whatever,
Yep.
like you still see some of it out.
Yeah.
You know, this was like this was out the whole time, and it lit up. It was really, really cool. If it wasn't, it wasn't the first year, but it's definitely one of the first years that these things were out. So I needed one. It's probably like, I don't know, $200.
Right.
I don't know where I had it it definitely wasn't on display. Now I have like 10 of them in all different colors. But I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and like I said, I wanted people to know about me and almost like disguise me as Zack Ryder, and to blend those two, because Zack Ryder, the woo-woo guy, the Long Island douchebag, he's not a Star Wars fan. He's not a pop culture fan.
Right.
This show is my outlet to show that I am, and maybe attract some more people. Oh, I like Star Wars. I like this guy.
Yeah, for sure. And you are really showcasing yourself, especially with this thing and the boy band stuff, as like kind of like a nerd and very like take me for what I am. And we talked about last week, you sort of jump in front of you can't make fun of me for being a Star Wars fan when I'm blatantly showing you that I have a lightsaber.
Exactly.
And I'm really excited about it.
Right.
But also it's very endearing. And I know you mentioned last week that you were a heel,
Right.
so you could whine and stuff like that. But like, man, and I said sympathy, and you said there's no sympathy, but I'm watching this Star Wars clip, and I'm like, how could you not root for this guy?
And honestly, you'll see, I never turned face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's actually a June, I believe it's a Superstars taping where I'm wrestling Primo. I just come out, it's Long Island, and the place goes nuts. And then from that day forward, I was a babyface. I never turned face.
Oh wow.
Right.
So you're just
Never.
not doing cheat things in the match. You're now taking the heat. Okay, then the next thing is the boy bands.
So next is the NKOTBSBZ. So New Kids on the Block and Backstreet Boys were coming together. And they had this badass poster where they're all lined up. NKOTBSB. So I thought, well, NKOTBSBZ, and add me. And I asked my friend Mike Manusama, who actually designs my website currently, Big Red Design, shout out. He was a backyard wrestler, a friend of mine. He's actually the guy who produced Hosky the first time, the first version, in his garage in his basement on GarageBand. So he just made me that logo. I threw it up, and now I knew how to put in pictures, right?
Yeah.
So I knew I needed like little skits throughout the show. And then I performed my audition tape. Like we said, I'm a huge boy band fan. I was in concert choir, so I have a decent voice. And like, I had a white dress shirt. I had white jeans. I had white sunglasses.
That was my big question. Did you own those jeans?
I did.
What did
And,
you?
like, trust me, I wasn't walking around in public in that outfit. But I had a white dress shirt. I had white jeans. I had white sunglasses. So for this, it was perfect.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you bought those pants for this thing.
I'm pretty sure I had them.
Right.
I'm 99% sure that I had those jeans beforehand. 100%. Well, 99%.
So this next thing is literally, to me, what this whole show is about. And the first time that I sort of can remember like really laughing out loud, and you really go for it with like a literal skit. So
Yes.
you bust out Buzz Lightyear. You're talking about Toy Story 3 getting not winning the award, which is crap. And then
Again, topical, bringing things in from pop culture. Right. How can I take something that's topical and apply it to me?
But also that relates to you because you like Disney and Toy Story. You're trying to talk to Buzz. Buzz doesn't respond. Oh, because he only talks to toys.
Right.
So then you have Buzz and the Mattel Zack Ryder. Again, action figure in this episode. So we're 3 for 3 so far. There's
and see Dolph Ziggler in the background. Dolph Ziggler. And watch out for this. This Dolph Ziggler and this Ghostbuster figure, this Peter Venkman, becomes an Easter egg and is throughout the episodes in the future. It starts here.
Okay.
So Peter Venkman and Dolph Ziggler figures become an Easter egg.
And so you do a conversation between Matt Cardona. Or,
What about the fact that I think I'm standing on a home phone?
right.
Like, how dated is that? Like, who has a home phone these days?
Right. Very weird.
I don't.
How did you do that? Like, did you have a second Buzz Lightyear that was talking? Or
No. So first of all, I bought this. This is legitimate. I like drove all. Toys R Us was still a thing.
Okay.
I drove all around trying to find this thing. I think I found it at a Walmart. So I like filmed them there, and then I figured out how to do like almost like a voice memo, like a voice recording, and then I did the conversation after and put it over.
Got it.
You
Well,
know?
that's normal editing, but that's a big breakthrough for you.
Right. So I have this computer. I should go find that original footage. That's interesting stuff.
Right. Okay.
You know?
We'll check that out.
So what I did was I obviously I knew or I figured out what Buzz says.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought of questions to ask Buzz. So like I wrote this down. Some of them I said like, can the situation beat me in a match? And it's like negative.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and then the best part is like, where do you see Zack Ryder's future go? He's like, to infinity and beyond.
Right. It's great.
It's like, how could you hate that? How could you, right? Like you were saying, like, it's so cheesy that like you can't make fun of it,
Right.
and like you gotta love it.
Exactly.
You know, you gotta.
And it's really you. Oh man, he's doing everything that he possibly can to figure out something that is entertaining.
And I will, full disclosure here, I returned that Buzz afterwards to get my $35 back. 100%. 100%. Put it nice back in the package and returned it.
All right, and then the last big thing here is you mentioned you haven't been on Raw in a long time, and then you cry.
Right. So The Rock, this is building up to The Rock being the host of Mania. So in episode 1, I do like some figure stuff with The Rock.
Yep.
And my friend Anthony LaRocca, actually the guy who gave me the You Know It, he found the thing that you're talking about, the Twitter, find tweets, and he found that I had tweeted like a picture of that or something as like exclusive footage on Twitter, like tagging The Rock. Around the same time I put it on the show.
Yeah.
So The Rock was doing all this stuff promoting WrestleMania. So one of the clips on Raw is him like in his living room in front of all his titles, sleeveless shirt, jacked up, oiled.
Oh, yeah.
So I spoof it. Topical, related to wrestling. So I legitimately had a title hanging up in my office or my house. So I had to stand on something, cut the sleeves of the shirt, oiled it up. And instead of being, I'm not on Raw, boo hoo hoo, poor me, blah, 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 I make fun of the fact that I'm not on Raw. And I actually fake cry, you know? And as a heel, I'm not like tough guy, so whatever. If you don't like me, great, I'm a heel. But if you feel bad for me, okay.
Right. I guess. Yeah. Okay. And full disclosure, I had no idea that this was spoofing a Rock thing, which leads me to the Know Your Bro question. So I'll bring that up right now, even though we're in the middle of the episode. But before we do that, let's hear a little word from our sponsors. And we're back. All right,
guys,
Know Your Bro.
Yeah, if you use the hashtag Know Your Bro, make sure it's about the episode. If you want to be the Know Your Bro winner for next week, watch episode 4 of the True Long Island Story. And if I read Mark reads your question on air, and I answer it, we'll send you an 8x10.
Yep.
So,
all right, Felipe, at Felipe Ogro. In episode 3, you have oiled yourself for that scene. Or were you coming back from training or filming and had the idea? Just wanted to know if that part was planned or improvised because it still makes me laugh. Hashtag Know Your Bro. And I didn't notice it at first. Then I go back, I read that question and I go back. I'm like, oh, he is oiled or like glistening. And I just couldn't figure out what the heck.
well, I mentioned that I'm oiled. I mentioned it.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Well, because like I said, The Rock did something very similar.
Got it.
He's cutting
Now
a promo on Raw.
Yeah.
And the just titles are in the background. Sleeveless shirt, oiled. So I spoof it. Standing in front of title, sleeveless shirt, oiled.
Right. Got it.
You know?
Well, going back 10 years, I don't remember that Rock segment, so that's why. But I guess topical at the time makes sense.
Yeah. So no, I was not at the gym oiled.
Right.
I love going to the gym. I love wearing sleeveless shirts. And also, that's a pre-Broski cut.
Yeah, not
If you know anything about me, you know this. If you're watching on YouTube, this is a Broski cut.
Yeah.
Show a little trap, little side, like little side peck, a little cut in the neck.
Yep.
That's a straight up, just like if like me now would cringe wearing that shirt. I feel so uncomfortable.
Right.
Just showing my arms. I'm not a big arm guy. I need to show the traps, the side peck. You know.
I got you.
But you'll be getting an 8x10. Great question. I was not
Nice.
oiled up. I will
right,
say
then you
this though.
finish
I will
off
say
the
this.
show- Yeah.
When I worked out in my backyard last year for quarantine, I would oil up to get a suntan.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. You close out the show. Like me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter.
That's the
buy
first time.
Shirt.
That's the first time with the like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter.
Right.
And
were you like, I need to have a
I
closing?
believe this is from Ray William Johnson, who had a show called Equals 3
Yep.
and would end the show the same way all the time. So I stole that, and it was very beneficial. It got the word out. And to this day, people still say, you know, the like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and all that.
Right.
So I didn't have proper lower third graphics. Eventually I do. This one, I figured out how to use the text. And I think if you look, it's not even like centered. You know, it's like,
yeah.
I just figured out how to put it on the screen, not where to put it.
It's actually really hard to even notice.
Okay.
But, and I will say this just popped in my head. 2011, I started working. And if you listen to Major Wrestling Figure podcast, you know that I worked for years for a plumbing supply company, and I did videos for them. That was like my first, I don't know, professional job.
Right.
And early on, so I started working in 2011, late 2011, and I would make these videos about plumbing supplies. And at the end of them, I basically copied your entire like closing spiel. And I would say, like, you know, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. And nobody knew. Everyone in the company
Right,
was like, okay,
sure.
this is a cool closeout. But me,
Right.
I'm just like, you know, doing Zack Ryder on our plumbing videos.
Yeah. And the whole show is an advertisement, right?
Yep.
So what better way to close out the show is how to direct or where to direct people to follow me throughout the week, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And that was very important. And I still think that's very important. Anyone who's doing a YouTube show or a podcast, you got to plug where they can find you,
Yep.
where they can get all your updates. I also realized all the shows close with that circle, like that, whoop, like almost Looney Tunes.
The circle wipe, yeah.
We need to make sure these shows end like that.
Okay, from now on.
But yeah, episode 3, I was like, episode 3 holds up. That's the term. I think it holds up.
I agree. There isn't like a horrible cell phone footage of you getting your feet done that doesn't
Right.
make any sense.
And I think I'm a little more comfortable
Yep.
in front of the camera. Not that I'm uncomfortable, but it's weird to talk to a tripod or whatever, or to a camera.
Yep.
It's weird to interact with no audience. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
for
it's
sure.
weird to know, you don't know what's working, what's not.
Yep.
I think I'm getting a little more comfortable doing that. And I think it shows. And I'm happy with this episode. It's great. I think it's a great one. This is like episode 1. I wouldn't, if someone said, what's Z Trolling Island story? Like, what is it? I wouldn't show them episode 1 if I could only show them one episode.
Yeah.
I would show them episode 3.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
So this episode has 319,997 views on it right now.
There's got to be a way. My friend Anthony was telling me there's got to be a way to get into that account and see like what it got in that week.
Right. Okay.
There's gotta be a way.
I definitely can do that.
Because you have my password.
I do have the password, but I have to like get a code from you every time I do it. So we'll have to find the time to do it.
Yeah.
3 minutes and 12 seconds it is. So far all 3 of these episodes were around 3 minutes.
That was a sweet spot back then.
Characters debuted Buzz Lightyear. And this is the first full skit. In my opinion, the Buzz Lightyear skit was the first full like cutaway skit. And then the debut of the closing thing. But yeah, so that's all I have for episode 2. If you have a question, use
Episode 3.
hashtag Know Your Bro. If you want to be Broski of the Week, use a review. And ProWrestlingTees.com/Major WF Pod, ProWrestlingTees.com/Matt Cardona. Today, for the 3rd episode, I am wearing Major Pot Network Presents FWF Live. It's our shirt for our upcoming show. Broski, please, just can you plug that? What?
Yeah, FWF Live, April 8th. It's what we're doing to be a part of Mania Week. We're having a show, closed set, no fans, but everyone is able to watch it and order it. and full details coming soon. But you'll be able to order it, and it comes with merch too. So you're not just buying a stream to a show. You are, but you're going to get exclusive merchandise, including an exclusive micro brawler. So if you're a figure fan, you're going to love that. And we're really, really proud of it. We're going to make this as fun and as cool and as exciting as possible. Also, guys, if you're a major Wrestling Favorite podcast fan, we have a Patreon. So we're adding MC True Long Island stuff to the Major Wrestling Favorite Podcast Patreon. So patreon.com/Major WF Pod. So we're putting up these episodes early and ad-free. Yep. So they come out Thursdays. You'll get them, Tuesdays, Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So you'll get them early. Just go to Major WF Pod. Patreon.com/Major WF Pod. And you'll get all that Major WF Pod, almost 2 years of content.
Yep.
And then some bonus MC stuff, and we'll figure out some ways to add some more bonus content. But for now, we're trying to really build this show.
Yep.
But if you want it early and ad free, go over there and check it out.
And then for that FWF Live thing you were mentioning, you are actually wrestling in the main event against VSK.
Yes.
And if you were watching Z True Island Story, hoping for Zack Ryder to get a shot at the main event. This is,
That's right.
years later, but this is one of the shots.
And if you're watching on YouTube right now, you see the internet title, you see the Major Pod title. I will bring them both out. They will not be up for grabs, but I am going for the Creative Pro Heavyweight Championship. I'm trying to scratch that title itch, add another title to my collection. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of this journey. Make sure you like me on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Follow me on Twitter. Buy all the merch, guys. ProWrestlingTees.com/Matt Cardona. And also, it's coming very, 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 very soon. The Broski of the Week headband that anyone can buy.
Awesome.
So, guys, Broski of the Week, hashtag that. Hashtag Know Your Bro. We want you involved. And we're trying to think of other ways to get you involved, other segments. If people were allowed in the crowd, I'd bring back Sign of the Week.
Yeah.
But we can't do that yet. We can't do that
figure
yet.
Something out to do.
I was thinking of something, even though we haven't brought it back on the show yet, because we haven't come up to it yet. But if we do the Are You Serious Bro tweet of the week.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so guys, add that in. Another way to win that 8x10. Use the hashtag Are You Serious Bro. Just a funny tweet that ends with Are You Serious Bro?
Right. And I'll put it when we're talking about your tweets. We'll bring that up then.
Yeah, and we'll show it on the screen, and you'll get an 8x10. So there's 3 ways to get a prize. Just please just spread the word, enjoy the show, and Mark, unless you have anything else to say,
nope.
Take care, spike your hair, or for you, take care, spike your silver hair.